Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Suwannee County Board of County Commissioner meeting for February 17th, 2026. This time we'll do the pledge and the invocation. Tonight we have a special guest to do the pledge. Will be Miss Kendall Griffin. If you'll lead us in the pledge, and Commissioner Land, will you do the invocation?
Sure.
Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I kind of done that backwards.
That's all right. Commissioner White's still learning where the flag's at.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I wanted to watch her say it.
If y'all would, please bow your heads. Lord, we come to you tonight humbly asking for your guidance and your support. We ask that you guide the leaders here of this county and that we represent the constituents, but most importantly, that we do your will. I want you to place a special hand tonight on soon-to-be Commissioner Fleming and his family and guide him, and he's well-rounded and polished in this position. I know that he'll serve his constituents well, but we ask that you refresh his mind in the ways of government and watch over him and his family as he does so. Please watch over the first responders of this community, of this state, of this country. Watch over and protect them as they protect us. We ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. At this time, I'd like to get the Honorable Judge Jennifer Griffin to come and Mr. Clyde Fleming and do your swearing in. And we want to just thank you for taking up that, and glad the governor appointed you to finish out that term.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and of the state of Florida. That I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state, and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties of County Commissioner on which I'm about to enter. So help me God.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hold on. Carissa, just get the five commissioners. We need a county commissioner
Can we just
website.
get a commissioner's one?
Yeah.
Commissioner's one?
Thank you. We saved you a special sense, right?
I'm gonna roll my shit over here. So all stuff piles up.
Thank you, Judge Griffin, for that. Appreciate it. Thank you, Kendall, for the pledge.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Yes, ma'am.
Understood. Moving on to approval of minutes for the January 30th, 2026 emergency meeting and the February 3rd, 2026 regular meeting. Are there any additions, deletions, or do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Hale,
Second.
Second by Commissioner Land. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5 to 0. Good. If I call you Mr. Perkins, just look over it for a minute now. Okay. Item number 2 is proclamations and presentations. Before we get to this, this is a thing on the water management, do a presentation. And I know a lot of you got questions to ask on this. So if somebody's already asked a question that you want to ask and just speeding the whole thing up, if they've already asked a question, that's probably good enough. We don't need to hear it 3 or 4 times. I don't mean to be rude, but we're going to do it a little different too. After he gets through with his presentation, if you have a question to ask, we're going to use this podium over here to ask the questions on this side, so we don't have to have everybody at the same podium. So if you will, when it gets time to ask a question, just come to this podium over here and ask the question. All right. Item number 2 is a presentation by Troy Roberts, Office Chief, Communications and Outreach, Suwannee River Water Management District. Troy, welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. I'll try to give you 2 seconds to get set up. We'll come back to public concerns and comments after this. Should be ready to go.
Did I skip over it?
Yeah.
Dang.
Just go ahead and tell them after his presentation.
I'm sorry, y'all. I skipped over public concerns and comments, but we're just going to go ahead since it's already started this way, and we'll come back to public concerns and comments if you got anything besides this to talk to us about. So,
Talking to your mics.
I am. I've already been scolded this week, y'all, so I'm trying to do better.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, everybody in the audience. Can everybody hear me, or do I need to speak up? Really? Uh-oh. Nope.
There you go.
Is it working now?
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Well, I'm going to speak as loudly as I can. I've been accused of being very quiet. My wife gets on to me because we go to restaurants and I mumble, she says, and the waiter can't hear my order. So I'm going to do my best to use my speaking voice so everybody can hear me. My name is Troy Roberts. I am the Communications Office Chief for the Suwannee River Water Management District. And tonight I wanted to highlight a handful of things that we have going on district-wide, but also kind of talk about what water management does and how we go about those things. So we are one of the 5 water management districts in the state of Florida. One of our core missions is to ensure that we have water not just for today, but into the future. And as we continue to look at our water supply needs for the future moving forward, we're seeing that we are not going to be able to meet those with traditional water methods, which is why we have to have projects and enhanced water conservation like we're going to be talking about. Before we get to that, I do want to highlight our current conditions in the district. Y'all can see on screen, we are currently in a drought, if you didn't know. Rainfall has been very low compared to what we have seen in previous years over the course of the past year. If you see the orange and red on the map, typically that is not a great thing. That means that we are either in the low to below extremely low categories for our aquifer levels. Now, when you see those numbers, it says 10th to 25th percentile and less than 10th percentile. I do want to stress that when we say less than 10th percentile, that does not mean there is 10% of water left in the aquifer. It's not like a cup where you have 100% and it's full and you drink it all the way down and there's 10%. What that means is that the monitored wells that we have, that we pay attention to, and we have long-term data on, some back into the 50s, it's at the 10th percent, 20th percentile that we've seen of those wells. So don't think that there's only 10% of water left in the cup. There's more than that. This is not the first time we have been in these conditions in the last 15 years, 2016, 2017. I'm sure everybody remembers we had a slight drought then. We saw our aquifer levels probably into the 20s before I think it was Hurricane Irma came in and dumped a lot of rain back in 2011, 2012. At this time in 2012, we were around the 5th percentile. And we got down as low as the first percentile in May of 2012 before, I think it was Tropical Storm Debbie. It wasn't Hurricane Debbie, right? Tropical Storm Debbie came and gave us a good gully washer. Now, I'm not saying we want a hurricane to come back to drop a lot of rain to replenish our groundwater levels. Y'all are very aware of the damage that hurricanes can bring, even if we don't see the wind. A lot of rain can create flooding, especially when we're in a drought right now. We don't want to see flooding. We don't want to see sinkholes opening up with a 10 to 12 inch storm. So best thing we can ask for, a couple inches a week for the next several months would go a long ways to helping our drought conditions. In the meantime, our district issued a water shortage advisory in January due to those dry conditions, and we are asking everybody, this is our visitors, our residents, our local businesses, and our large producers to limit water as much as they can. We're also using this as a time to work with our agricultural producers to say, hey, long-term or long-range forecasts do not look favorable right now for rain. I think we do about a 3-month outlook, or NOAA does a 3-month outlook that shows below average rainfall through the month of April. And so we're working with our producers and telling them, hey, if we don't get rain, we could potentially have to move to a phase 2 water shortage, which would have regulatory impacts on them. And so we want to give them enough time to make their plans and prepare in the event that we do have to do that. Now, of course, the hope is we have a wet March and we have enough rain come through that helps with our drought. But in the meantime, again, we're encouraging everybody to conserve as much as they can. This is basically just to reduce water-intensive activities as much as possible, and obviously the district will continue to monitor those efforts. We put out a hydrologic conditions report every single month that updates those conditions, and if people are ever curious about where our groundwater levels are, they can go to mySuwanneeRiver.com and take a look. It's updated daily and sometimes hourly. All right, so the one that most people are here for tonight, I'm going to go ahead and jump into. I know everybody, y'all have a meeting to get to, and we're going to have questions and answers, and so I'm going to try to get through this quickly, but also educationally as well. I know there's a lot of questions about this project. There's a lot of misinformation out about this project. I'm getting calls. I know y'all are too, and I know there is a lot of buzz about it. And so the best thing that we have felt we can do is try to get out in front of the public, get in front of our county commissioners, keep you informed about the project, and hopefully help everyone understand the need for it and the benefits that it brings. So the district sets minimum flows and minimum water levels on all of our water bodies, whether it's lakes, rivers, or springs, to basically ensure that those water bodies can continue to flourish, they can support natural wildlife, and continue to flow as they need to. The lower Santa Fe and Ichetucknee is currently not being met. And so what that means is that we have a time period that is set once the rule is adopted that we have to recover that system and get it to where it needs to be with that MFL. Water conservation projects are identified. Aquifer recharge projects are identified. As you see here, there are several of those in addition to just agricultural water conservation and residential water conservation. You see 2 projects on here. Black Creek Water Resource Development Project is almost up and running, I believe, over toward Clay County. And Water First North Florida is the project that I am here to speak about tonight, kind of highlight what this project is, and again, hopefully be able to answer some questions. So Water First North Florida is a 40 million gallon per day project that uses treated reclaimed water. I want to stop for a second there and really focus on reclaimed water because I see a lot out there about it being wastewater. It's not. Now, reclaimed water has to meet higher standards than typical wastewater does. It has to be treated at a higher standard than that for it to be considered reclaimed water. What this project would do is take water from the east over toward Jacksonville. It would be piped back towards somewhere in the St. John district. And again, a lot of this stuff I can't say exactly where it's going to be because we are very, very early in this project. I would love to tell you guys, this is where it's going to be, this is where the piping is going to be, this is where the recharge points are going to be. We just don't know that yet. The St. Johns River Water Management District is our partner in this. They have initiated those studies since those recharge points would be in their district. They've initiated that to find out exactly where are the best locations for those, or for the treatment wetlands, I'm sorry. What that would do would take that water, send it to a treatment wetland, and allow it to filter there and further purify. So we have had treatment wetland projects across our state for decades now. The Everglades in itself is a very similar project to that. We have 2 local treatment wetlands projects that I can speak about, the Lake City Wetlands Project, and also I am blanking on it right now. My apologies. The Sweetwater Wetlands Park in Gainesville. Both of these take reclaimed water. They filter them and then it goes back into the ground as aquifer recharge projects. So this is not anything new. It's new-ish for our area, but across the state, these projects have existed for decades now. It is a proven treatment technology that we have seen work and we know will work in this instance as well. I mentioned St. John's being one of our partners. The Department of Environmental Protection is on board with this project, as well as the utilities, JEA, of course, being one of them, Clay County Utilities, Gainesville Regional Utilities, and St. John's Utilities. So this project is not a project for today. This project will require 13 years before any water goes back into the ground. And as I mentioned, this is a very, very early stage of this project where we are researching and finding ways to develop this project to meet all water quality standards that would be required of this project. And what I can tell you is that water does not go back into the ground unless it meets those standards. But this project does not, again, fix our water issues today. It fixes them for the future. It helps us grow. It helps us continue to promote business. And as we have more than 900 residents per day that are moving into the state of Florida, and as y'all know, they don't want to move to Tampa and Miami anymore. They're looking for a little quieter area, which is this part of Florida. And so this allows us to accommodate them, but also accommodate the way of life that we have known, while also providing for nature, allowing it to sustain, and also provide for our agricultural producers that we rely on as well. So I have a short video, if y'all don't mind me playing it. I'm gonna have to figure out where the sound comes from on my laptop, so please excuse me. But I'm gonna crank up my volume on this.
Can you help me, Murray?
Eric is gonna come help me real quick, and we're gonna press play. And so I've got 2 videos. I'm only gonna play the first one unless y'all wanna watch a second one, but we'll get to that, and then y'all tell me if you want to, or if we wanna move to Q&A, ever how we wanna do this. So let's press play. And I'm going to go ahead and apologize if y'all are tired of my voice on this speaking. I narrate this video as well, so it's worse on me, I promise. I hate the sound of my own voice, so having to listen to myself narrate a video is really, really terrible. But we're going to press...
Have your volume turned up on your laptop?
It is all the way. Okay. Let's go. I'll say that. It's on the TV.
Yep. Pause it.
Oh, hang on. My apologies, y'all. This is technology for you.
Let's do this with the audio.
That one. Volume up. And it'll play to the TV's awesome.
Now try.
All right, let's try this again, y'all.
North Florida has reached an important crossroads. Our focus is on protecting the long-term viability of the natural water resources that serve as our primary water supply. Our springs and rivers aren't just environmental treasures, they're engines that support agriculture, tourism, small businesses, and economic development. Florida law requires the protection of our water resources through established minimum flows and water levels. The Florida Department of Environmental Protection has adopted a rule for the lower Santa Fe and Ichetuckney rivers, a river and spring system that is not currently meeting those required levels. A comprehensive, sustainable solution is needed to recharge our aquifer, restore the flows of our springs and rivers, and ensure a sustainable water supply for our region. Recognizing that no single entity or community can solve this challenge alone, stakeholders across North Florida have united behind the most effective and cost-efficient solution to protect our water systems. The solution? Water First North Florida. This project will use reclaimed water that will be highly treated at a water reclamation facility before being filtered in a wetland to further clean the water. Water that meets high-quality standards will then be used to recharge the aquifer, restoring natural flows to springs and rivers. Infrastructure will be built to bring the water from the wetland to multiple recharge locations to provide the maximum environmental benefit. This project will provide over 40 million gallons of water per day and work in conjunction with conservation and other efforts to recharge the aquifer to support the hydrology of the lower Santa Fe and Ichetuckney rivers and springs. Similar projects like the Sweetwater Wetlands Project in Alachua County and the Black Creek Water Resource Development Project in Clay County demonstrate how this type of approach can enhance aquifer recharge while meeting high-quality water standards. These projects are recovering water resources that support wildlife and have created recreational opportunities that residents and visitors now enjoy. Water First North Florida delivers a comprehensive, sustainable solution with the greatest environmental benefit. Other alternatives, like desalination, were considered but proved to be too expensive, costing 2 or 3 times more than reclaimed water. In conjunction with additional conservation efforts, this project will protect the springs and rivers that make our region unique and support our long-term water supply and economic growth. Through the Water First North Florida project, we are helping secure a sustainable water supply for the region, now and into the future. Water First North Florida.
All right, I couldn't have said it better myself if I had said all that. So what I really want to focus on with this project is, nope, I don't want to listen to that again. I don't think y'all do either. This project allows for continued growth. This project provides the water that we need into the future. Water is, I mean, if you've seen other places nationwide with water shortages, we don't want to get to a point where we can't provide water for our citizens. This project helps with that. It secures our long-term water security. We have confidence in this project. We've, for more than a decade, they've analyzed over 800 different types of projects. This is the one that was chosen as the most cost-effective, efficient. And I know people look at this project and say, it costs $1 billion. How can that be cost-efficient? But when you're looking at desal options that are 2 to 3 times that amount, you know, we have to choose one that we feel is going to be the best for our community. And a lot of our towns and cities and counties have been trying to do this on their own with individual projects. You know, we need something that is a regional, large project to address this issue. We are very confident in this project, and you know, I will attempt to answer any questions y'all may have, any questions the public may have. I do caveat every question and answer session with a reminder that I'm telling you, I am not a scientist. I'm a communications person. That's what I do for a living. I don't have the water resource background that some of my counterparts do. I have some very, very smart people who I work with, and when they talk, it goes over here, and I'm like, listen, y'all got to dumb it down for me. I'm just a local boy from Georgia who loves calling Live Oak home and does my best to communicate it in a way that people will understand. So I will tell you this. If you come up here and you have a question that I am unable to answer, or if y'all have questions that I'm unable to answer, I have a bunch of business cards with me. I will give one to you, and if you call me tomorrow, I promise you I will do everything I can to get an answer for you as soon as I can. But I will try to obviously answer any questions I can. And if y'all have any, I'll be glad to entertain them.
Well, I think before we open it up to the public, we'll start with the board, and maybe some of the questions we're going to ask might be some of the questions they're going to ask, and cut down on some of that. But my first question would be, does this board or any other board or community, are they going to have any say in this project happening or not happening?
I mean, Mr. Chair, I feel like I'm at my own governing board, so I'm going to refer to you before any others. I mean, obviously, we want the support of our communities. We would love to have our counties behind this project, because I think that means a lot for a project like this advancing. And again, that's one of the reasons why we are here tonight. I'd love to have come a couple of weeks ago, but it was, it's tough to get on agendas and be prepared for that sort of thing. But, we want that support. We need that support to help make this project thrive and exist. And so that's why we're here, to try to answer any questions that you may have.
Board, any questions?
Yeah, I do, Mr. Chairman. Troy, question. How long is this particular type of treatment recharge? You said it's been used and it's tried and true. How long has it been used and tried and true, and where, if we wanted to do some research, or the public wanted to do some research, can you give me some more information on that?
Mr. Chair. Mr. Hale, so we do have two local projects that are within driving distance of this one. I mentioned the Lake City Wetlands Project over in Lake City. The City of Lake City operates that one, and then GRU operates the Sweetwater Wetlands Project down in Gainesville. And so while they are different projects, they are similar in the sense that they use treatment wetlands to treat water before it goes back to the aquifer, and they take that reclaimed water and treat it just very similar to how this project would be. Obviously, they're all going to be somewhat different, but if you wanted to get an idea of what those projects look like, you can visit both of them. The Sweetwater Wetlands Park is open to the public. They've created a recreational site for that, for bird watching and for just people to go out and enjoy. So I think Lake City is wanting to do that with theirs. Obviously, that is something that we would entertain with this project as well, making it something that people can enjoy, not just a project that helps with groundwater levels.
And I'm sorry, how long have they been operational like that?
So I know that those two projects in particular, I'm not sure, but I know that like treatment wetlands in the state have been used for decades, 30, 40 years now.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah. Go ahead, Commissioner Mobley.
Commissioner Mobley, go ahead.
You said that y'all want the support of everybody in the communities, but real clear, do we have a choice or do we not? I had a few people asking me.
Mr. Chair, and I apologize, Mr. White, if I didn't answer that clearly. So this is a state project with the Water Management District buy-in. This is something that would not require county approval or city approval, but obviously having your support for that means a lot as we try to progress with this project.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Again, I'm sorry, Commissioner White.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm glad you asked that question, Commissioner Mobley, because I appreciate the further explanation there. It's not something that necessarily would appear before local boards to give them a say in the matter, but obviously the district and the state would like local board support. I understood that correctly, right?
Mr. White?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I have a couple questions. The first one, for the public's sake, can you define reclaimed water and maybe explain exactly what that is?
So I know wastewater, and again, I'm going to, caveat with the scientist thing here.
Right.
So wastewater is typically treated to remove solids. So think about your septic tank. I know most people around here probably are on septic tanks. Your septic tank exists to remove solids, and all the water from the septic tank goes back into the ground, right? So all that water from your septic tank is going to go back into the aquifer. With traditional wastewater treatment, my understanding of it is that it removes the solids, and then that would be considered wastewater. Reclaimed water would go through a different refining process to further remove nutrients, bacteria, any of those additional things that we may be concerned about.
Right. So in essence, it's a step or two or three more advanced than what traditional septic tanks are.
Yes, sir.
Okay. My other question is, Mr. Chairman, is Mr. Roberts, you talked about on the verge. We're currently in a phase 1. This was prior to the Water First North Florida project, but you talked about we're currently in our phase 1, and if conditions, meaning a recharge project or a large amount of rainfall, doesn't occur relatively quickly within months, we could go to a phase 2. And a phase 2 would, my question is, potentially restrict crop irrigation or limit the amount of irrigation that the producer is allowed to apply. Is that accurate or not?
Commissioner White. So a phase 2 water restriction would have regulatory impacts, yes, sir. What those look like would be decided by our staff and the governing board when we take that to, because our governing board has to approve any additional phase. Right now they've approved a water shortage advisory, which is only voluntary. Mm-hmm. There would be regulatory impacts if we move to a phase 2 that would include water restrictions. From what I've seen, it would be if our producers are using equipment that may not be as efficient as some of the newer stuff, we would tell them, hey, you can't use this. It may ensure that they're only doing some of their watering at night rather than during the day. There could be additional impacts to that, and as we move forward with that, we would decide what exactly those would be.
I want a little more information on that because, I mean, as a producer, from a producer standpoint, I mean, you think about a crop in the field and specifically corn, and we're a heavily agricultural area. I mean, there's probably a lot of producers in this room.
Yes, sir.
And you talk about a phase 2 and then restricting if their irrigation equipment isn't up to the latest BMPs, best management practices or whatever, then you could restrict the amount of water that they're able to apply to their crop. Well, we all know that without water, crops don't grow. So therefore, the financial impact is much larger than just the producer. If the producer's crop goes from X yield to X minus 20% because of a phase 2 was implied because of his equipment didn't meet the BMP minimum qualifications, well, then that producer potentially can't pay his bills or can't pay some of his bills or any of his bills. So I mean, I guess the I'm not trying to make a point, but I guess the level of severity of this could potentially be catastrophic if, one, we don't get rain, which I'm a believer the Lord will take care of us, but we got to take care of ourselves too and be responsible on that end. So
yes, sir.
I just kind of want to touch a little bit on that. Like this is kind of a big deal.
Of course, and I would be glad to have any of our folks on the regulatory side reach out to you if you would like. Again, I know we've sent letters to all of our permittees. I'm not sure if you've received one, but if you have a permit through a water use permit through the district, we have sent out letters that dictate and highlight some of that stuff. And we're doing our best to keep our permittees informed of what that could look like. We do have a very, very active cost share program where we work with our farmers to help them upgrade their equipment. We understand that farm equipment is not cheap, and trying to update it to modern technology and modern standards can be very expensive. So the district does operate a cost share program where if you come to us and say, hey, I would like to make my farm more efficient, I would like to ensure that I have updated equipment, I've got the most modern stuff I can, we help with that by paying for some of that the producers can have, the most updated and water efficient equipment that they can.
Mr. Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. I'm not here to say that I'm for or against the project either way, because I'm a little uninformed about the project, but I do understand the complexity of it. And this is a pretty complex issue. This ain't just about, as I've heard in the community, taking their water. This kind of has a lot to do with our water levels as well.
Yes, sir.
Just one second. When we get to your public comments here on this, for right now, it's just, ma'am, it's the board's asking the questions right now, and as soon as we're finished with that, you'll be welcome to ask your own question.
I'll do that whenever.
Go ahead, Commissioner Hill.
Given there are 2 other sites that you mentioned, who does that testing? Is that something you guys do in-house? Is DEP, EPA, do you fall underneath the same guidelines, say everyone else would, as far as testing goes? And if there is a issue and it's identified, how do you guys address that?
So any of that testing would go through the Department of Environmental Protection. and the individual agency. So like I know GRU would do their own testing out there, but it has to meet whatever standards that DEP sets forth for water quality.
Any known issues with the other two sites that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of, no, sir. That's not to say there isn't, but I can't say that I'm aware of any.
Gotcha.
Mr. Roberts, where's that 40 million gallons a day currently going now?
Mr. Chair, so that 40 million gallons per day currently is being emptied out into the St. Johns River. So that water is being taken for the Florida aquifer, is being utilized, it is being, and then once it has been turned into wastewater and reclaimed water, it is currently going back out into the St. Johns River. So our hope, of course, is that we can help our own aquifer by restoring that, using that water.
So my understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's going to be treated in the county and where it's generated, I'm assuming, through a wastewater treatment plant, and then pumped to a settling area to recharge the aquifers, which will just go through that recharge process through a wetland or what have you. So
yes, sir. And then it will be taken to a different location for recharge. And so when we are looking for recharge locations, we are looking for the most beneficial locations we can find that will recharge, because I mean you could try to recharge in some areas of the district or some of the other districts, and we wouldn't see the recharge levels that we're looking for. If it's too close to the coast, we wouldn't see it as compared to where it would be in the center of the district. So the wetlands themselves would be in the St. Johns district, and then we would still try to determine where the best location would be for actually recharging that water. So that water,
it's going to be site specific to get the best results.
Yes, sir. And that's part of the study that the St. Johns district has initiated right now, is since that those initial treatment wetlands would be in their district. That's why they are currently doing a study to find out exactly where would be the best location for this. If we've got a pipeline taking water west from Jacksonville, where would that be? And so part of these initial studies that they have initiated are to get a better handle on that and determine where the most optimal sites would be.
And you say it's $1 billion. How is that going to be funded? Do you have any idea of how it's funded?
Yes, sir. So currently, JEA has pledged $400 million toward the project. The St. Johns district is, I believe, $125 million. I believe currently in the state budget there is some additional money for this project. And then the rest of it would come from the state or the federal government.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Fleming?
I'm not going to say I'm new to this, but about 7 or 8 years ago, I think we dealt with the same issue. The St. Johns River, the water being pumped there. And it seems to me as if there's a competition. I could be wrong. With Suwannee River Water Management and the St. Johns Waterman Basin, the water was pumped, and I think we had this issue 7 or 8 years ago. Now, what about sewer water? Is that to be recharged too? You said that, like septic tank, the soil go to the bottom and the water go back to.
So yes, sir. If you have a traditional septic tank at your house, I have a septic tank at my house, and so the way those work is they separate the solid from the liquid, and so that'll keep the solid in the septic tank, but the liquid is going to go back into the ground. And so if you've got a septic tank in your house, that water is going to be seeping back through the ground and into the aquifer. I don't want to say it's similar to how a treatment wetland would work, but all of, whether it's rain or if you go out and dump a bottle of water on the ground, it's all going to percolate back down to the aquifer.
Mr. Roberts, one more from me. I've got a lot of calls on it as the biohazard part of this. How will those treatment levels be treated as far as the biohazard's concerned? So
in terms of nitrates, of course, is one of our concerns, and obviously contaminants of emerging concern are one of our, contaminants of emerging concern for a reason. We understand that is an issue. And I told somebody the other day when I did a presentation, PFAS is kind of a thing that we are currently still trying to get our heads wrapped around, not just for this project, but nationwide and worldwide. I mean, my suit right now is probably covered in PFAS just because we use it in everything. It's in this cup and water bottles and everything else. And it is something that we have to get a grasp on as people to find a way to limit that. What I can tell you is that we have a lot of research out there that shows PFAS can be removed. I know JEA, which I've got another video, it's a lengthy one. I don't know if y'all want to watch that one. It details one of their current studies at one of their plants right now that is working to remove PFAS from reclaimed water. It is shown great promise. It's already working. And so I know all of these research tools and technologies will be utilized in this project. And I'll say again, the water will not go back into the ground if it does not meet certain standards. If it does not meet all state and federal standards, whether it's DEP or EPA, whoever it is, this water will not go back into the ground.
Well, that was a question I had a lot, was like the antibiotics, the whole biohazard thing is, I think, a lot of people's concerns of how much of that's actually going back into the aquifer. And I mean, I know we do it in septic tanks and all now, but we're taking somebody else's water here. So that was the question that I got asked the most, was that particular question.
Yes, sir. And there's going to be a lot of checks and balances on this project as we progress with it. It's phased for a reason. If we get to the end of one phase and it's not where it needs to be, then we don't progress to the next one until we get there. And again, we don't, I've asked these questions because I know I'm going to get asked them as well. And I've been told it's like, we will not be putting water back into the ground unless it meets certain criteria and certain standards that are out there. We all live here too. The Water Management District, DEP, we all have a shared aquifer that goes from South Carolina down to Orlando, basically, that people withdraw water from. We want to make sure our water quality is clear, and we want to make sure it's clean, and we want to make sure that we have an ample supply for, not just for today, but again, for into the future.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Mobley.
I got one more. Is it being treated the same on that 400 million gallons being treated the same to be dumped into the St. Johns River as it would be being dumped into our wetlands? Is there a different treatment on that?
I believe there is enhanced treatment on that. Please don't quote me on it. I'm not 100% sure if there's an additional phase from what they are currently emptying out to make it reclaimed standards. I believe that there is, but I can find out for sure for you and get back with you, because I don't want to say something that's incorrect.
See if it's the same treatment if it's being dumped to the river versus being dumped in our wetlands.
Right. Well, I will find out for you, sir, and let you know. Like I said, I don't want to get up here and say something incorrect. I want to try to be as accurate as I can putting this information out there.
I just want to clarify one thing you talked about earlier was it goes through their treatment plant, then it goes to a wetland. The wetland would be in their area, our area, as far as where that goes in the wetland before it's pumped in the aquifer over here.
So my understanding is it would be treated in a wetland in the St. Johns district, and then it would be brought to our district to be injected back into the aquifer.
And would that be a direct injection back into the aquifer, or?
I believe that is part of the part of this design process right now and research process to find the best possible way to do that. So again, I know there's a lot of questions that are about this project we just don't have, and that's just part of a massive project like this is develop as it's developed.
So where are you at in this process as of right now? Is it just research? Where are we at?
So right now, the St. Johns Water Management District has a siting study, and also our utilities are currently doing research on the additional reclamation projects that are out there. And so right now, we're trying to figure out exactly what this project would look like in terms of how it would be transported, where it would be transported to, and what's the most effective and efficient way to get the water back into the ground.
Any other questions, board?
That's true. Yeah, I do. I'll have a million more, so I'm definitely going to get and speak with you later. But I'm just thinking long term here. do you guys consider with like marine biologists and other schools that, do you bring them into this conversation and let them be part of this? I mean, that folks that are smarter than me that can make sure and look out for our future and for, the fish and all the things that we do and love to do. As you mentioned, we all live here. And then backside of that question would be testing. How does that testing look? Is that going to be something you guys will test our waterways? Will test the ground here? Will it be available for the public to see all this?
To answer your first question, I was not invited to those meetings because I'm in the same boat you are with that. But I do know this project over the last decade has not been developed in a vacuum. It's not one that we just got a couple groups of people together and said, hey, we're going to decide what the best option is for this. We have scientists and researchers that we employ and groups that we work with to help develop this. And so, I trust their judgment. They're, like you said, they're smart people. They're a lot smarter than I am. And for me to, think I know better, I don't. And so I trust the research that has gone into developing this project. To answer your other question about testing, yes, sir, we would have various phases and various levels of testing. And like I said, we would make sure that this water meets every possible standard that we need before it goes back into the aquifer, because we want to make sure that it is clean water and that, we're not going to do anything to negatively impact our waterways or our water supply.
Mr. Fleming, did you have something else? You done? Anybody else?
No, sir, I'm good.
We'll open this up to the public's questions now. And let me just reiterate what Mr. Roberts said there. He's not a scientist, and maybe as we get further along in this process, we can get something like that here to inform you what that really looks like. But just in his defense, he's just here as a spokesman, and like he's told you, he's not a scientist. And so we really don't need somebody to get up here and just make statements. If you got a legitimate question to ask, we're all for it, and I'm sure he is as well if he can answer it. So just keep that in mind when you come up. But I got some people that's turned in some slips here to ask, so I'll call those first, and then anybody else that wants to ask a question after that. So just please remember, if somebody's already asked it, let's just move on. Starting with Haley Hall first, please. And if you could give your name and address for the record, please, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Haley Hall. My address is 23478 US 129 O'Brien. I am a scientist. I'm a geologist. I did want to follow up on Mr. Land's note about the drought and the Phase 2 regulatory impacts. So this, as Mr. Roberts mentioned, Water First North Florida is a plan that has like a 15-year timeline. In terms of the drought we're experiencing right now in the regulatory impacts, potential regulatory impacts, Florida has a wet season and a dry season. Right now we're in the dry season. Come hurricanes, we'll be in the wet season, and, get some hurricanes. That's going to be what it takes to get us out of this drought. And so that, I just want you guys to be mindful of those time scales. And so in terms of wanting to avoid Phase 2 regulatory impacts, this project is not the solution for that. The wet season is. Okay, so in terms of my actual public comment, so I want to be clear that this project relates to Senate Bill 64 from 2021, which, according to that, JEA has to stop surface water going into the surface wastewater going into the St. Johns by 2032. And so basically, there are a few loopholes in Senate Bill 64 that are going to allow them to try to do this. So basically, this water for Water First North Florida is water that would not be allowed in the St. Johns River. But because there is a loophole with the MFL he mentioned, that is what basically would allow them to pipe it over here, pipe it underground, and if they say they're using it to meet the MFL, they'll argue that's beneficial use, that's how it's legally allowed, because legally this water would not be allowed in the St. Johns River. And so there are efforts being made locally, specifically town of Brantford, give them a shout out, to construct local treatment wetlands. Our issue is not the treatment wetlands. We want local wetlands to better deal with our own waste here. The issue is our area becoming a dumping ground for Jacksonville. We're already downstream of Valdosta. We don't want to be downstream of Jacksonville too. And also another note about the treatment wetlands and the PFAS. They can take some of the PFAS out the water. Where does that go? It goes up into the plants. Who eats the plants? The animals. Who eats the animals? The people. So it does get into the food chain still. It will bioaccumulate into the game and into the fish. And so basically, another issue with that loophole of meeting the MFL is we have what are called legally protected outstanding Florida springs, and those have to have they have a nitrate limit of 0.35 parts per million. That is the legal limit that those are set for. The district has been unclear what water quality standards will be met so far, and comparable projects do not get the wastewater to below 0.35. Even if they get it to 1, that's still a wastewater project. It's not a springs restoration project, and that water cannot be used to meet the MFL. It would be inappropriate, illegal for it to do so.
Ms. Hall, I'm going to have to cut you off there. It's
Can
3
I make
minutes.
one more brief statement on
If it's
desalination?
brief.
Thank you. So I would hope that the district would consider additional comparable desalination projects. I'm not sure where you got your numbers from, but there are desal projects that can do a lot greater than 40 million gallons per day for a similar price tag. Most of Jacksonville water supply is pumped from the water. Anything that they can do with desal instead, that is water, clean, good aquifer water that's staying in, that's going to increase our spring flow over here. And so we want good, clean water in our springs, not this reclaimed, treated wastewater. Thank you.
Mr. Daniel Howard. I hope Stephen Patak, am I saying that right? Did I get it right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. It's over here if you don't mind. And your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stephen Paddock, 17571 Kent Terrace. That's out Nobles Ferry on the river, where I've lived since the 80s, on the river. And I've seen what Occidental's done. I've seen what happens when there's spills up in Georgia down the Alapaha, where we got to boil the water, not bathe in the water. Accidents happen. I work at a lumber yard. Accidents happen every day. There's also a red flag, what the young lady just said, about why, if it's already being taken care of over there in St. John's, why are we going to get it? The other thing was, at the beginning, he said something about the Itchtuckney and Santa Fe weren't meeting the quality. I believe that's south of Lake City, where the other project is. I hope this board can do something about this, because this is wrong.
Thank you, sir. Is it D. Patak?
I am Dee Patak. I live on the same land as my son, 17571 10th Terrace, Live Oak. I've been there 50 years. I live right on the river. I raised my grandchildren in the river. This is beyond me, why you would want to do this to this beautiful river and springs. In the 50 years, I've seen that water go all the way down where I can walk across the river to the other side. God makes it so more water comes with rain and tornadoes and fills it back up again, and then it's overflowing into my yard. So that's a bunch of crap about it's so low that we need all this water in the ground to then filter into our river. That is not true. God takes care of it going up and down. I've seen it for 50 years. I've swam in it. We have Occidental, who has come in and promised not to take a lot of water, and yet all the springs on that side, including my yard, dried up. The state park dried up. They used to have a spring there for the kids. It dried up once Occidental came in. We have promises from Georgia that they won't overflow their tanks into our river, and they do it all the time. So I cannot believe what you are saying. I cannot promise that unless you can guarantee tonight that it will work and won't affect the river and the springs, and I don't think you can do that.
Is that a question, ma'am?
One more thing.
Was that a question, ma'am?
Yes. You said earlier that we have no say in it. The state has already decided to do this. Is that correct?
I think that our residents of the state of Florida definitely have a say in anything we do, whether it's at the county level or the state level. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is not a done deal already with the water management people?
So it is a project that we are developing. It is a project that we think is beneficial, but obviously the people of the state of Florida have final say.
Okay, because I heard you say something about you're working on this project and we have no say in the state and the voting on it.
I don't mean to say that, sorry,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner. People have a grand statement. That's a great part of government, is that our residents do have a say in these projects moving forward.
Well, how do we vote against it?
We hope to have your support in it, but obviously you're here voicing your concerns to your county commissioners tonight, and you know you are having your voice heard.
Okay, I have one more thing to the county commissioners. Please let us know before today that we're having the meeting about this. I found out today. I think 1,000 more people would be here. Please let us know in advance. Thank you very much.
That's all that I had pre-written. Is there anyone else have any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Fleming.
I want to say something that do take my mind back. If memory served me well, it had to be 7 to 10 years, I say, that there was an issue with St. John's and Suwannee River Water Management. And I think I'd like to get some more information on this.
Okay.
I'll get one of your cards and I'll call you. We'll meet and we'll talk about it. But I would like to get some more information on this and get caught up on it.
Of course, I am available anytime y'all would like to meet. Obviously, with each of you separately, but whenever.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Who was it? Yes, sir. If you don't mind, come to the podium, please, and your name and address for the record. If anybody's wanting to speak after him, if you will, just kind of go ahead and make your way over here to the podium and be ready. Yes, sir.
My name's Larry Riggs, 309 Martha Street, Southeast Live Oak, Florida. Have you even looked at our city water? If you don't, take a look after you've flushed your toilet for a few days and see the brown water in there. So the water treatment here in the city isn't even that great. And now you're telling me, and I happen to be a medic, a corpsman in the Navy. I've had to deal with these kind of situations before. And if you think you can outsmart the Lord, congratulations. But I'm telling you right now, that water, if it's pumped to us and then we have to treat it and inject it into the ground, that's not being filtered. Our ground is what filters our water. You don't inject it back into the aquifer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Name and address for the record.
My name is Ricky Robertson, 14127 48th Street. I'd like to ask a question. Mr. White, he was asking, what is left in this reclaimed water? What is treated? What kind of chemicals treat this water? Do you know?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I'm going
sir.
to be honest with you, sir. That is beyond my knowledge of what that actual process looks like. I could make up something and tell you, but I'd be wrong. And I don't want to stand up here and tell you something that's incorrect. So if that is a question you have and you're curious about that process, I would be glad to try to track some stuff down for you.
Okay. I got another question. Didn't Suwannee River Water Management over the years and years acquire thousands of acres along our waterways in our area?
Sure. Yes, sir.
And why was that done?
The district acquires land for a number of purposes. Part of it is to conserve it and protect it from future development and ensure that property along our waterways is not developed, and also to provide recreational opportunities for our residents and visitors.
Absolutely. But you said this was for continuing growth, but not along our waterways. Is that correct?
So
it's almost like a double standard to me, what you're doing here. And you're saying that this water is going to meet regulations. Well, who's going to monitor that? Because it's just like these other people are saying. The Withlacoochee up here, we've been eating that from Georgia up there for 20 or 25 years or longer. They got millions of dollars worth of grants. They redone it. And like these people say, every time the water level gets up a little bit, they have another spill. Yep. So how come the Suwannee River Water Management isn't addressing that before they're trying to inject something actually straight into the aquifer that you don't even know anything about? That it just don't even make any sense to me.
So you're addressing Valdosta, and as you know, Valdosta, you stated Valdosta has spent millions and millions of dollars upgrading their wastewater facilities. My understanding of that is that for a long time they did not address those issues within the city, which resulted in a lot of those spills. They've still happened, unfortunately, over the last couple of years. I know that they have another tens of millions of dollars pledged to continue to update that to ensure that those instances are very far and few in between.
And also, you're saying EPA's, would probably monitor this. What, the same way they monitor that? I mean, that's coming out of Georgia. I mean.
Correct. But
I mean, so that's raw sewage coming out from up there. What you're claiming is reclaimed stuff, but I mean, what's the difference, really?
Well, the difference.
Yeah, it's a little better, maybe a little cleaner water, but
the difference particularly is that this would be going into a wetland, and then it would be treated, and then we would see what the quality of that water looks like before it comes here. If that water does not meet those water quality standards, it does not come to our district.
But who's going to monitor that? The EPA, like they monitor it coming out of Georgia?
So the Department of Environmental Protection would monitor that, yes, sir.
You can't make me believe that one.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Yes, ma'am. Name and address for the record.
Mariah Clayton, 304 Drain Street, Brantford, Florida. Why should we believe that JEA's Buckman wastewater plant will never fail and send untreated wastewater through our pipes?
So again, as I just mentioned with the previous, and thank you for your question, JEA monitors its water. It monitors its water quality. There would be various checks and balances throughout this system to ensure that only fresh, clean water is being injected back into our aquifer.
But is that able to be guaranteed to us?
So it would meet the water. My understanding of this, and again, I'm very not well versed in how this process works, is that any standards of water quality would have to be met before it goes back into. And that's the great thing about having these treatment wetlands. It wouldn't be that we are just taking this water from Jacksonville and it going back into our aquifer immediately. It would be going through various forms of treatment before that happens.
Okay, thank you. If the water's so safe, why was there a bill made that they can't dump it into the St. John's anymore?
So Jacksonville, and as they've said, Jacksonville does have to find something to do with this water. And Jacksonville can keep it themselves if they wanted to. they could easily keep that water and use it for their own growth and for their own water restoration efforts. That does not help us. It does not help us recover these systems. And traditional water conservation methods are not going to help us restore this. And unfortunately, if we don't find ways to restore our system, that would lead to reduced water use in our district as a whole. And so this, being able to utilize some of that water that is taken out of the aquifer and kicked back our way in a clean and efficient manner does help us restore our groundwater levels, support the LSFI, and again, guarantee our water future.
I guess I don't quite understand. If it's so beneficial, why were they made to do something with it by 2032?
So the water that's going into the St. Johns River does not meet the same water quality standards that this project will.
So there's a way that it would become better water quality?
Correct. That's part of the whole process of this project, is to meet those water quality standards.
What about other water supply projects like desalination and forestry ditches?
So I've mentioned desal, and I know people have said that it seems to be less expensive. I don't know what numbers that they've seen. I've asked, because again, I get that question. It's like, why don't we use desal? And what I've seen is that it doesn't. It is a more expensive process. And with desal, again, we're also relying on the same type of technology and pumping it. So the question is, where do we get desalinated water from? Do we get it from Jacksonville? Do we get it from the Gulf? What does that look like? Do we build plants to remove the brine and all of the same chemicals that we're seeing in that water as we are the reclaimed water? But again, what I'm seeing is that it is a very expensive process. And the second part of your question was the
forestry ditches.
Is that I'm sorry, if you don't mind me addressing you, is that basically the overflow type areas? So the district is working on developing some of these, and what this is finding areas along the river that we could construct for overflow. So in periods of high water, this water would basically go into an overflow ditch. I'm not. That's probably not the right word. I'm probably butchering it, but it would go in there and help replenish our aquifer as well. Of course, that only really works when we have periods of high flow. It would not be doing much right now as our water levels are lower, but we have been researching that, and that is a project that we are hopefully looking to implement in the future.
I have one more question, if that's all right. It's a short one. So about 10 years ago, 3 farms that I know of were forced to get a pipeline through their lands, and crops don't grow there. Mm-hmm. What about the landowners whose pipeline this will be going through?
So we're early in this project. I can't even speculate on where a pipe would be laid. Hopefully it's something that we could use potentially for right-of-way, working with other state agencies, the Department of Transportation, along I-10. That's a possibility. That's also me speculating on where that could possibly go. So unfortunately, I don't know how to address that, because we're so early on in this project that I don't, I can't really say what that would look like and where it would be.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Name and address for the record, please.
Carol Eckert at 9483 County Road 49. When I heard this meeting, I was at your last meeting, and I quickly did some AI searching on, aquifers and stuff, and I didn't bring that information with me, but do you know how long it takes to clean up an aquifer that has been contaminated?
Mr. Chairman, ma'am, I do not. I'm sorry.
My answer that I found was decades. Decades. So just so that everybody knows, I don't know, we can always say that somebody's going to, something's not going to happen in this aquifer. And if something does, decades. So.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Andrew Betts, 17201 145th Road, McAlpin, Florida. Anybody who's ever has been here for more than a few years knows that Live Oak floods. I've seen kayakers in front of the courthouse. Why do we need this water? I know you're not a scientist. You can't really tell anything about it. But what's going to happen if our aquifer is artificially flooded with Jacksonville's water and we get a huge storm?
Yes, sir.
What's going to happen then?
So,
where does that water go if it's already being pumped from over there?
correct.
It has nowhere to go here.
So when we are dealing with the aquifer, our job is not to push it to 100%. We're not looking for the 100th percentile with this water. I believe, and again, I may be misstating this, is that we are trying to get it at a safe, reliable level and maintain it there, which would allow, when storms come through, to add additional water. Now, if we got to a point where, if Hurricane Debbie came back through and jumped another 12 inches like it did at my house, and we're at 95, we're seeing our well showing the 95th percentile, my understanding is that we can say, all right, we're done, and that water does not go back here. It would go back. It would go back east.
Jacksonville has to get rid of. What do they do with it? Do they?
That would be a question for Jacksonville. I'm not sure how to answer that one, unfortunately, sir. They would find ways to utilize it, I'm sure.
That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Mr. Mobley?
I got one. Is there any financial gain or funding coming back to the Suwannee River Water Management on the back end of this project?
I'm sorry, can you restate your question?
I was wondering, nothing's for free, ever, but are anybody receiving any funding by taking this water in from there?
So we're restoring our aquifer, and obviously JEA and St. John's are paying for a good portion of this project. More than 50% of it would be funded through them.
Okay.
So they would be helping fund a project that would be very expensive without their support.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Roberts, on the tails of his question, is there talks with JEA or St. John's River Water Management about a per gallon usage back to Suwannee River Water Management as far as like a fee base? I think that's the question. Commissioner Mobley.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Mobley. I'm not sure that. I can find out for you, sir, if y'all would like to. And again, I will be glad to give every one of you my business card before I leave. I'll pass them out, and that way y'all can contact me. And if you have any additional questions, email me a list of them. I'll work with appropriate staff to try to find out the answers.
Yes, sir. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
It's always a question of what's in it for us.
After he speaks, I want to say, go ahead. Yeah.
Bill Gaylord, 7556 240th Street, O'Brien. I've looked at the water flow maps of the aquifer. It used to flow to the south. In the recent years, it shifted to Jacksonville. So my question is, if it's shifted to Jacksonville, they're drawing our water currently, correct?
I'm sorry, one more time.
So the water in the aquifer used to flow south.
Yes, sir.
Now it's flowing to the east.
Okay.
Which is showing Jacksonville's drawing our water currently. Is that correct?
Our water is we can't really say that because we all, as you know, draw from the same aquifer, whether it's down in the South Carolina.
But it's flowing to the east currently. Correct. They're pulling our water.
I don't have that in front of me, sir, so I can't confirm or deny that, unfortunately, for you.
The last maps I seen, the water flow was going to the east, which would indicate there's a big draw to the east. Okay. Would you agree with that?
I know that there is a good use of I'm going to say our water. I just said I'm not going to say that. A good use of the Florida aquifer to the east, south of us, and to the north of us as well.
So if they would do the reclamation and put it back in the aquifer in the St. John's Water District, that would slow the flow from our district, correct?
I believe there would be some benefit of that, yes, sir. But from my understanding, and again, I ask these questions too, while it could have some benefit for our district, it does not solve the MFL with the LSFI, and it does not help us in the future. It may solve, it may slightly improve where we are now, but it does not affect our long-term water supply.
Okay, my next comment or question is, I understand agriculture is related to, say, 40% of our water usage.
In our district, it's closer to 70%. It's around 65%.
Where's those numbers come from?
So we have a water supply report. We have a water supply team that gather that information and gather that data on where exactly our water is being used in the district, whether it is for public supply or it's for agriculture. And
So our farm would be considered in the Santa Fe River Basin on the south end of the county?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes, sir.
Correct. I was told about a year and a half ago that our numbers would be too high, so we were going to have to go back to water restrictions, when if you look at our water usage on our pivot irrigation is very minimal to others, so I think your data is incorrect.
Okay. I mean, I'll give you one of my cards on the way out, and if you and I want to have a conversation, and I can definitely direct you to our water supply team or even our regulatory folks, and to have that conversation with them. I'm sure they would love to.
Also, was part of this information based on the Gulf sturgeon not being able to spawn up the Suwannee River?
So the MFLs are set for a wide range of criteria.
And when was that study done?
So fish passage, and I believe Gulf sturgeon in particular, is one of those criteria. I know that there are studies funded for that annually, working with
those studies were done in October. When's our lowest time of the year of the water?
Typically
October, November.
Typically dry season is October through around this time of the year. I mean, I don't know exactly when those studies were done. I know that they are conducted periodically throughout the year. I don't know exactly when. My knowledge of the Gulf sturgeon is unfortunately lacking.
That's part of your data. Also, is FDAX funding part of this project?
I do not believe FDAX has, but I know with the two funding sources that I've mentioned so far.
Okay. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Let's let the public know. That's my question.
Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Casey Fillon, 5815 159th Drive, Live Oak, Florida. I had a question on the reclaimed water that you was talking about. You was talking about wastewater and reclaimed water. Wastewater is if you had to get the solids out of it, right? So, like in the septic tank, like you was talking about, the water that came out the septic tank into the leach field would be reclaimed water?
That is my basic understanding of it. I'm sure that a more technical person could probably say this is the exact difference between those things. But I know that my understanding of wastewater is that the solids have been removed from it, and the wastewater would be what is left.
Yeah. So then that would be reclaimed water on the leach field side of it. Reclaimed
water would be wastewater that has been taken and then treated in additional ways. So it wouldn't just be what's left from that. There would be additional treatment options that would go into making it into reclaimed water.
Okay, so it'd be treated before it went into the wetlands?
Yes, sir. It would be treated to a reclaimed standard, and then it would be taken. It would be taken to a wetland for even further treatment after that.
Yeah. And you said that the wetlands that y'all were discussing would be in the St. John's district?
Yes, sir. Where those locations are, we have not determined yet, but it would be in the St. John's district.
And then pumped out of there, essentially over this way?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, if it was treated there in the wetlands, and like you say, filtered to the ground and whatnot, where would you pump it from? Would you pump it out the ground, or would you pump it out of the wetland?
So again, my understanding of that is limited on the exact process, but my understanding is that it would be taken after it has been treated, and then would be taken. What that process looks like, I unfortunately do not know.
Because, like I said, that don't make sense if you don't put it in a wetland and it's going to go through the ground to be filtered, as you're saying, and then pump it over here. Then how do you know that's that water? You'd have to pump it from under the ground. It'd have to go through the ground.
And
so
that may
didn't make much sense.
I'm sorry, and that may be an option with that. I understand to the base level of how a treatment wetland works, but when it would be removed from there and transported to another potential injection site or another filtering site where it would go down into the aquifer. I think that's part of what's being determined and what's being studied.
I don't really quite answer it, but, and if y'all pump it over here, you're talking about pumping it directly into the aquifer or directly into the Suwannee River?
So that's also part of this discussion. I mean, there's a potential for direct injection. There's also a potential that it would, go through another wetland before it would get down into the aquifer here. But that's one of those parts of the development of this project and the various phases that we're going through to find the right method for that.
Yeah, that's maybe there too. Well, I was curious because a lot of the reading I did talk about going into the Suwannee River, and I was surprised there wasn't no mention of into the Suwannee River. Another thing, if it's already being pumped into the St. Johns River, everything's already in place there. It would make more sense to treat the water there going into the St. Johns River or whatnot and pumping fresh, clean water over here.
Well, my understanding of their process now is that that water, and I'm not a geologist, but my understanding is the way the geology is of there, we would not see the same type of recharge if they were doing that in the St. Johns district as if we were in our district. So we have better aquifer recharge in our district as opposed to the St. Johns district if we are trying to put more water back into the ground.
Yeah.
But no, you can't speak from the audience. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you want to talk, you can come up here. You've already talked. We're not doing that again.
Essentially what I was getting at with that is why wouldn't you just pump water out of St. John's over to here if you're just looking to get water over here?
Out of the river itself? I don't know the water quality of the St. Johns River itself even before reclaimed water is put in there, but we know what standard of and what quality of water would be leaving the reclamation facilities. And so, again, it would be reclaimed to a certain standard that we would feel comfortable that our treatment wetlands can further treat that.
I'm going to have to cut you off there. We got to get on to the next. Yes, sir. Please.
Gotcha. All right.
I appreciate you, though. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Steve Redmond. I live at 6968 112th Terrace. Live back. I've got a 1 acre pond on the back of my property, and it's about dry. And I've got a 200-foot well. Water's good. My thing is, when we're looking at, I did a little bit of research and using AI science. I'm not a scientist. I know you're not. But in treating the water, if you treat, let's just say they took 40,000 gallons a day. You're looking at 1.2 million gallons of water per month, which is enough to destroy the ecosystem. I'm a pastor of a church, but I also know God takes care of all of it. So I've seen my pond go up, I've seen it go down, but the treatment that they use puts an abundant amount of, and I'd like to find out how much, of nitrogen and phosphorus back in the water that goes down. And with that, it does dissolve the oxygen that's in the water. So that's being pumped back into the river. The oxygen in that water, which depletes any type of wildlife that may be living, whether it's the gators that live in my pond, or whether it's, whatever fish, whatever aquatic animals happen to be there, it does affect them. Like I said, God takes care of it all, and we're in a process. But my thing is this, with the amount of cancer that's from Hamilton County into Suwannee County, and it's all been related to Occidental, nutrient, PCS, whatever, it's in the water system itself. That much more chemical is going to still contaminate the groundwater that's in there. And that's just based on 1.2 million gallons per month. What happens, you multiply that by 12 months, and you're putting excess amount continuously. So my question is, for me to find out from you or the water management, is how much excess nitrogen and phosphorus and those chemicals, because it blows algae up considerably, which, you know, it destroys the feeding sites for a lot of things. Sturgeon, you know, I mean, all of it. So they can't reproduce. So my thought is, what can you do to find out for us how much chemical is actually going back into the groundwater?
Yes, sir, and thank you for your question. I can tell you that treatment wetlands are really good for removing both nitrogen and phosphorus from the water. We have, again, data that shows that a significant amount, I'm trying to do the numbers in my head, almost 80% there's a nitrogen reduction from reclaimed water to when it reaches the aquifers in treatment wetlands like this. This project would be designed to meet even higher quality standards in some of those, because it is also an aquifer recharge project and it is a restoration project. So it would be designed to meet the standards that would meet the MFL. So again, treatment wetlands are proven for both nitrogen and phosphorus. I know I've pulled data from the St. John's district and from the Southwest district where they have similar projects, and the data that I have seen shows a significant reduction in both of those before it reaches the aquifer.
Okay, because the amount of, and I'm done, the amount of, the church that I pastor happens to be in Mr. Hale's district. It's Northside Baptist Church. And we had to put a chlorine system in because the bacteria is already large. It also produces massive amounts of E. coli when you treat that much water going back into the system. That's just going back into the water system.
Yes, sir.
So we've had to put a chlorinator unit at my house and at the church because of the bacteria already. So how much more is that going to increase?
Okay. If you'll find me before I leave, we can talk.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, with that, I'm going to... Did you have something to ask me? Okay. After this, I'm gonna shut that off and we're gonna move on.
My name is Marion Fowler. I live at 2018 Evergreen Avenue Southwest here in Live Oak.
Welcome.
First, I wanted to comment on when y'all were talking, a statement that was said, even though it got changed a little after, you simply, when it was asked if we have any vote in this, and you simply told us that no, it's still going forward. And that is not comfortable from what I hear to anybody here on it. If it's so safe and it's so good and it's such a wonderful thing, then why isn't Jacksonville just keeping it over there? They're going through us, they're going through St. John's, they're going through Clay County. But why would they come and shift it over here if it's a good thing? The rain's going to take care of the water. The aqua filters are refiltered. The rain will recharge them. But it's not, putting this other water in there is not, if military bases can't do their own filtering and watering like that, and on the bases, how do we do it better and then bring it into the small towns and the small areas and just, I don't know if that turned out to be the right way to question all of that, but it's just, it seems like we're not having any choice, and it's going to, you talk and make it sound good, but if it's good, leave the water over in Jacksonville. Let them deal with their own waste instead of just saying, well, we're just going to put more chemicals in it. We'll just send it over to your rivers and let it destroy us over here. And I don't guess it's much of a question, it's just more of a statement of how I look at it on that.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hale, you had another question?
Yeah, I was just, and thank you to the public. I mean, we sit up here and we try to think of the right questions to ask, and I just want to say thank you to each and every one of y'all that got up and spoke, because I think it helps us in asking our questions and trying to come up with the right questions to ask you. But I got a guy that owns a nursery here. I got a farmer down there. I got a guy that runs a meat market and buys his local meat. I love to fish. I don't hunt, but I love to fish and enjoy the waterways. But I'm just asking because, I mean, it's very important, but have you guys, or is there any plans to collaborate with our conservation district, our local USDA, our local IFAS? I mean, again, there's people smarter than me. Public here, thank God that y'all do your research. I appreciate that. You mentioned Valdosta. We have a Suwannee River with the Gucci Task Force. I would love for you guys to come and meet with us. That represents about 13 counties that would have a voice in this as well. But it's just a concern. I mean, you see it, you hear it.
Yes,
you know, I mean, we're not throwing rocks at you. We know you're just the guy here to talk to us, but man, we just go to bed at night. We want a peace of mind, you know. So can you elaborate on that any?
I understand. If there's a group that you feel that we should be in front of to ask those questions, we will gladly come. And we do collaborate with these other agencies as well on this. We want to make sure, again, that this project is a beneficial project to our district. We don't want to do something just because, you know, a handful of people think it's beneficial. We want to make sure that it is truly going to help our district and our water supply and our residents and nature, of course, as well.
Good? Yeah. Any other commissioners? Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Appreciate the information.
Thanks, sir.
I would encourage all of you, if you got questions on that, you know, they have a water management board meeting too that you can attend as well.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
And you can get directly to the horse's mouth right there.
Yes, sir.
I do want to clarify one thing before we go. Will this board have any say in whether this project moves forward or not?
This is a state project. Your voices are important to this project. I mean, so.
Excuse me. Hey. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Let's be respectful. Yes, sir. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but they're going to ask me, so I'm asking you.
Of course, I understand that. So the project will not come up for a vote for the individual counties. That is my understanding of how that works. If you are looking for that, I do not believe this is going to be something that would be voted on.
Thank you.
However,
I just want to clarify that. Thank you for coming. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, moving on to we was going to do any other public comments on anything other than this? Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. Huh?
You got time.
Oh, there's a.
You just did it.
Number 12.
All right, I'm way past the time specific. At 5:35 or soon thereafter, as the matter can be heard, hold a public hearing to consider approval of final budget amendments for fiscal year 24-25. Mr. Gentry. Thank you all for coming.
Thank y'all.
Good evening, Commissioners. Welcome back, Mr. Fleming. We have our budget amendments for closeout for fiscal year 25. I'll just read this real quickly. It says in compliance with section 129.062, letters B through F, Florida statutes, the undersigned budget officer for the Board of County Commissioners of Suwannee County, Florida, made and prepared the following budget amendments to reflect authorization and usage of fund balance, reserves, contingency, and unanticipated revenues for program purposes, and to appropriate for those purposes said funds for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2025, and said usages are in excess of the original or previously, which in this case is just in the original budget. And there's 3 funds that we have budget amendments for. The first one stated here is the State Attorney Fund with the Perry lease reimbursement for the $18,961 and the balance forward for $16,471. The lease reimbursement is a pass-through. It was just not included with the budget. Apologies for that, but it's just a pass-through from Taylor County, and the communication expense for the balance forward was increased to cover the expenses for that. The second one is for the fire fund. There were 2 grants associated with that, the pumper truck grant and the ladder truck grant. Those were in and out. Those were not originally budgeted, but the funds are listed there, $800,000 for the pumper truck grant and $1,398,175 for the ladder truck grant. And lastly is for the SHIP program, the local housing. We had an increase of $112,000 for Hurricane Helene, additional funds for that. And then the interest, we had additional interest of $24,829, and those were appropriated for the emergency rehab expenses, totaling $136,829. Those are the 3 amendments that we have for fiscal year 25.
Any questions of Mr. Gentry?
No, sir.
I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hale.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me. Oh, it's a public
Yeah,
hearing.
that's true.
Oh, I'm all messed up tonight.
That's right. A little comment.
Well, any questions of the staff from the board?
No, sir.
Seeing none, open the floor to public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Any further board discussion?
No, sir.
Seeing none, do I have a motion to adopt?
Still offer, yes.
Commissioner, a motion by Commissioner Hale.
Second.
Second by, I'm going to do Mr. Fleming. Clyde, Mr. Fleming. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr.
Commissioner.
Gentry.
Appreciate it.
Sorry I ran way over on your time specific. Can I move to the consent agenda now?
Yes, sir.
That's where I've been wanting to go. Any items to be pulled for discussion on consent?
No, miss.
Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion approved, Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Fleming.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Land. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Any constitutional officers? Any staff? Welcome.
I know everybody wants to go home, so real quick, I just wanted to say thank you for everybody that came to the FDM training for the Florida Officials course. It was a great training. We had a really good turnout from city, county officials, so I just wanted to tell you thank you for that. And then just kind of give you a little overview of what we have going on in the next couple weeks. Next week we'll be at EM Day at the Capitol, and then we're going to do Career Day at RTC, and then the next week will be at the Miami Expo for, I'll be a keynote speaker for the Expo, and we'll be disaster judges, so we'll get to kind of talk about rural Suwannee County and what it looked like for disasters in our area versus Sarasota County. I'm going to be on a panel with somebody from Sarasota and kind of what it looked like between rural county versus a larger county and how that looks. And, you know, we all have to do the same thing, but so that was a great opportunity. And then she's just going to mention the statewide exercise real quick.
So every year we do a statewide exercise with the state in conjunction with all the different counties to increase our readiness and resilience and kind of test all the things that we learned from the previous year. That will be April 13th through the 16th, and a lot of our county partners have been invited to join us and kind of run through all of the things we learned. Yeah.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hale.
I'll just say I appreciate what Heather was talking about. That was a packed house that day. I appreciate all the county staff and departments that were there, and it was educational to me. So very educational.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Good evening. I just wanted to formally introduce Mr. Terrence Allen, who is serving as our Suwannee County Veteran Services Officer.
All right.
He is a United States Navy veteran, so he is very committed to serving our community, our local veterans. He's a great asset to the county and the community.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Would you like to make a speech?
No, not really. I just want to say thank you everybody for having me, and I'm in the same building as the other officer, but now I'm upstairs. So if you can't find me, they will gladly send you up. If you have any questions, any concerns, I'm available. And thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Good to meet you.
Welcome aboard.
Any other staff? Any commissioner items? Any county attorney items?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Two things. I'm going to try to keep them as brief as I can, but both of them require an explanation. First, credit to Mr. Meeks. He, in processing applications, found a serious issue that's gone on the last 3 months or so. And the reason I'm telling you guys is because we found out it's spread out throughout the county, and you may get some very angry constituents calling you, so this is me telling you about it. Essentially, as the board knows, if you subdivide acreage into 3 or more parcels, they have to be at least 5 acres. But if you subdivide it into 3 or more parcels, you have to go through the subdivision process under our LDRs. There's an investor/developer who I'm not going to name out loud here, who candidly has tried to circumspect those by basically just buying property and then parceling it out in 5-acre lots. In violation of the LDRs, and the problem that it creates is that the people who get these lots aren't going to be allowed to get a building permit because it's non-conforming. Right. And so we have some innocent purchasers here, and so the way that the system is operated, for example, is the investor/developer purchased one parcel of 20 acres for $175,000, subdivided it into 4 or 5 acre lots, several of which would never be able to get approved under our regulations for a subdivision because it has to be on a paved road, that sort of thing, and does those as owner-financed mortgages at $80,000 a pop. So he turns that 175 into 360. And anyway, that's how that works. Ron's discovered at least 14. All of these have happened within the last 3 months. And so I've spoken with Mr. Meeks. He's sending out a letter to the affected homeowners and told them basically, sorry to tell you this, but you're not going to be able to build on your property. Here's why. You may want to go see a lawyer of your own choosing, because that's going to be a private matter between them. But I figured, since we know that it's a problem, it's better for us to let them know now than for have these individuals find out when they come to the, plan on this building their dream home there, and they find out when they come to the building department and find out that this was a problem, and even worse, that we knew about it and was sitting on it. So wanted to let you guys know that it's throughout the county. So if you get some angry calls from constituents, that's what the problem is. But we do have to enforce our LDRs. It's just that simple. I may want to later, and I'll come back to the board for permission, because the next worry with something like that is that when we send out these notices to the homeowners may turn around and just sell this to the next guy because they don't want this particular problem. And there's nothing in the public record which is going to tell anybody that there's this encumbrance on the property. So I'm still kind of going through the pros and the cons of whether or not it's a good idea for the county to put something in the public records, because it could create a slander of title issue. If I decide to go forward with that and think it's a good idea, I'll come back to the board and ask for permission. I don't have that authority independently. But anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know you may be getting some very angry phone calls in the next couple of weeks.
Sure. Mr. Morrison, I got a question. This is the first I've heard of this. How many instances has this occurred?
We know of at least 14.
14 end users or 14 different subdivisions?
14
parcels?
different plots. So 14 different non-conforming parcels.
Okay.
And that's all within the last 90 days or so.
And I would assume to say most of these buyers are probably non-local.
Yes, all of them practically.
Okay.
We have had one building permit issued it's going to be okay because it's only once you get past that second or third one that it becomes a non-conforming lot. So we can make that work because we don't want to impact a homeowner that's currently building. So we'll make that work.
But
yes, these are all people who live out of county.
And technically, that one's going to work because they were the first one to buy it.
Yeah, and
First one to pull a permit.
First one to pull a permit. I mean,
and candidly, it's somebody who got issued a permit, and I mean to put a square peg in a round hole, but we're going to make it work. It's not fair to these people that they
already have improvements on the property.
Right, and the building permit, and what would have been the holdup would be not getting a building permit, and they were issued a building permit. So it is what it is.
Well, I guess my question is obviously buyer beware. However, but if you're buying property from a known developer or an investor that has done this multiple times, surely those folks have at least researched that. It's like, oh, okay, well, this person or company, this is what they do. This will probably work for what I got. But how do we? Is there a way for us to determine, another checks or balances to prevent these situations? Because obviously this is a terrible situation for two people. I don't even know who the company is that did this, but if they didn't know and they did it, well, now they have a significant investment that they got a problem with. But too, like, was the surveyor local? Was someone that was doing this have an idea? Like,
no, it's a wonderful question, and I can guarantee you that this developer knew exactly what they were doing. They've complied with the regs before. But here they put it in parcel in a places where you would not be able to subdivide because, for example, you have to be on a paved road. And the answer is, and this kind of goes back to something I think everybody knows intuitively, when you buy real property, get title insurance. So so the way this is working is the investor purchases the real property. When they purchase the real property, they've got title insurance on it, right? But then what they're doing is owner finance mortgages to people who they're not, and so the mortgage paperwork and the deed are all prepared by that one entity, and the buyer's not getting homeowners insurance, is not getting title insurance. So as you said, caveat emptor, if somebody's going to buy real property, they need to get title insurance.
So to be clear, the buyers of these properties did owner financing and closed within the developer's offices without
Correct.
Using any third party to do
Correct.
any type of title
If you look
search.
at the deed and the mortgage, they're prepared by that developer.
That's a terrible situation to be in. I was just asking if there was a way for us to but there's no way if there's no third parties involved. But albeit, surely there was a surveyor hired. Surely, I'm not placing blame because I don't even know who the surveyor was. But at some point, does somebody say, hey, before we split this 80-acre tract into 5-acre parcels, we might need to make sure before we go out and do all this work that these parcels will conform?
I'm quite confident, based upon how this was done and that the party has complied in the past, and where these parcels ended up getting put. For example, where it would not be able to get a subdivision because it has to be on a paved road. This developer knew exactly what they were doing, and it'd be one thing if you were purchasing, let's say, a 100-acre tract and developing it, cutting it up into 5-acre lots. That would get a lot of attention. But this is buying a 20-acre lot and dividing it into 4, or buying it at 20 and another 10, and so it's small, and you try to just kind of slip it through. And again, that's the reason I'm not saying names, because I'm imputing a lot onto what's going on here. But it's quite a. I'll put it this way. I feel very comfortable from the county perspective sending out a letter to these purchasers saying, y'all may want to get a lawyer.
Well, that was a terrible update you gave there, but thanks.
Well, in case you get enough.
Terrible news, I should say. Good update, terrible news.
Absolutely.
The second thing, Mr. Chairman, and this is just something that I've been talking about for a while now. If there's one thing, I've been on the board serving as the county attorney now for about 3 years, and if there's one thing I've learned, the quickest way for a county commissioner to get hired or fired is to mess with roads or anything to do with an assessment, be it fire or solid waste. And so, speaking of roads, one of the things that we have talked about at length, and Brenda's been very helpful, we've been finally moving forward with doing this, is the county was founded back in the 1850s. And there's two ways you get a county road, right? You get a county road by designating something a county road and, getting the right-of-ways and doing everything that way. But then the other way you get a county road is by the county simply maintaining it, right? So if the county maintains a road for 4 years and it's something that was developed by the county, it's a county road. If it was developed by somebody else and the county maintains it for 7 years, it's a county road. One of the questions that comes in with a significant amount of regularity, both to Mr. Gamble's office as well as to Ms. Flanagan in Public Works, is this a county road? Referring to various strips. And there's a lot of what I'm going to call either vestigial county roads or just non-county roads. And what I mean by a vestigial county road is a county road that may have been a county road at one point in time. So for example, if there was a pig trail that was maintained by Suwannee County from 1910 to 1942, title vested, and that's still technically a county road, even though nobody knows about it, and nobody's aware of it, and nobody remembers it. That creates title issues. The other thing that happens is we have things that are, I'm going to call them, they're called roads, but they're not. So for example, the one that's popped up now that's an issue is where when DOT was building I-10, they created access roads to get to certain parts of I-10 where they were going to be building it. They called them access roads. And so when they were done with these, they conveyed them to the county, calling them access roads, but they're not roads. They literally just cut through private property, right? But they're called roads. And so the question comes in to the office and gets forwarded to me to the point where we've now developed a form letter where people are asking for basically title opinions of, is this a road? To which the answer is, I don't know. Because I don't. And so, because I can't go back in time, and I know Commissioner Mobley and several other commissioners, we've had situations somewhat kind of funny if you sit back and think about it, where we're looking for people who are old as dirt to give an affidavit to say that back when I was a kid, we maintained this road for a certain amount of time to say either it is or isn't a road. So my point is there's a lot of ambiguity in questions. And it's kind of absurd that people can call the county and ask, is this a road? And the county doesn't know the answer to that. So the statute which provides for recognizing that 4-year and 7-year limit on creation of a road says one of the ways you set that timeline is to have the Board of County Commissioners certify basically a list and a map of county roads and file that with the clerk of court, and that becomes your county roads for purposes of the 4 and the 7-year mark. That's all that does. It doesn't give an answer to that pig trail from the early 1900s that may or may not have been a road at one point in time. The answer still is, I don't know, if somebody asks, is that a road? So my first thing that I've been working on, and Brenda's finally got the list, is I wanted to basically run it by you guys to get kind of where do you want to continue, do you want to move forward with me working on this or back off on it? And there's kind of two parts to the question. The first would be the certification of the county roads. And those are the roads Brenda's gone through. She's done an excellent job, developed a map and said, here's the roads that are being maintained by the county and have been maintained by the county over the last however many years, going back as far as our records go, where we can say, yes, that's a road. Now, so that's the first thing. I think it's a good idea to do that simply so that it's established definitively, so that way if there ever is a lawsuit in the future about is something a road or not, we don't have to go back and nobody has to go get affidavits from anybody in the building department. You just go get that certified copy. It's a road. It's been more than 7 years. This lawsuit goes away. So it's a good idea to do it. Now, the second part of that question is the inverse, which is what about the things that are not on the list, right? Because there's all kinds of the vestigial roads and kind of roads and the, I don't know, roads that are in the county. And so one of the things, and what I'm convinced is going to happen, whether we do anything or not, is 5 years from now or 10 years from now, if the county approves that map of roads, there will be someone who doesn't pay attention to the part where I said that's not an answer to the I don't know roads, and is going to say, when called by a member of the public, and just looks up at the map and looks at the list and says, well, if it's not on the list, it's not a road. Well, that's not the correct answer, right? Because I don't know, it could be. And so the inverse of that is we can, and I would do it after we approve the road list. The statutes allow for the county to disclaim roads. And so what would happen if you disclaim a road, and you've seen people file petitions here before, is the people who are the surrounding title holders, as a matter of law, will own to the center point of whatever that road is. And if it would continue to be owned by the county, if it's a piece of property, for example, like those access roads that the county technically has title to, if we declare and enter a disclaimer which says anything that's not on that list is not a county road. Does that make sense? And that gives the certainty of it's a road, it's not a road, and we can say yes or no to that question, and gets rid of the I don't know part of it. There will be unintended consequences from doing that, okay? And there's going to be, because there are going to be people who have been living on parcels for a long time, and everybody's always thought, well, that was a county road, and it turns out it's not on the list. County hasn't maintained it. Now, let me tell you the counterpoint to that, just so y'all understand, is it doesn't matter, and by that I mean this. Those same people come to us now, we're not going to say, the answer to I don't know, it's not a county road. The next part of that answer is y'all figure it out amongst yourselves, and if you got to sue each other to do it, do what you got to do. County's not taking any part in it because we're not participating. So it could have been a road, it may not have been a road. Either way, y'all figure it out. That's how we handle it now. So it doesn't really change the answer to what to do about it, even if, and there will absolutely be, like I said, the unintended consequences of people who, what do you mean this is not a road? But now we can answer that question. Does that make sense? And so I just wanted some guidance from you guys as to kind of, you guys can tell me to, Brenda's done some excellent work. It's taken some time to put it together. But I spoke with Mr. Gamble about this over at the property appraiser's office, and his position on it was, why haven't you done this sooner? Because he gets this question daily. Is this or is it not a road? And so, does that make sense, kind of what I'm asking you guys for? I don't have it, it's not done yet. I just want some guidance as to how far do you guys want me to go with this.
So the roads, we're actively maintaining them. That's what you've got listed. We're putting a road grader down it, we're whatever. And that's, you went through all the county and you've determined what those roads are.
It's like a 7-page list, single-spaced.
And I would be more than happy for you guys to all review for your districts to see if we've missed something.
So
I mean, I think it's a good idea. I mean, you got to know what you got to know. I mean, and there's always a question about, well, is this a county road or is it not a county road? And it just eats up a lot of time trying to figure that out sometimes.
And to me, this is one of the growing pains of the county getting bigger, is you're going to run into these questions.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Lynn.
Mr. Morrison, I got a question. So when we run across one of these unintended consequences that I missed it on the sheet, somebody missed it, oh man, I forgot, we grade that road like once every 6 months. We have actually been maintaining it, or we grade it once every 2 years, I might grade that road. When that happens, how do we undo what we did?
All right.
to say, hey, well, wait a minute. That actually might be a road. I missed it. They missed it. Who missed it? It doesn't matter. But now we got people that are signing an affidavit say, no, you actually did grade this in the last 36 months. Can you fix it?
Yes, two answers to your question. One, respectfully, Commissioner, I think the premise of the unintended consequences isn't going to be correct, of saying that, oh, we actually are maintaining the road, because the practices of the building department is when they go out to maintain the road, they keep a log of, I'm on this road this day. And so in preparing the list, they went through the log for the last years to make sure that there's nothing that's on that list that's not maintained. Am I stating that correctly, Brenda? So I don't think it would happen that way. The unintended consequence would be, it's one of those vestigial county roads we thought it was. And to be clear, the answer to can we fix it is yes, because the county always does have while the county doesn't accept roads as a matter of policy for the last 40 years, if it turns out there was a mistake and, oh, we should have not gotten rid of that was a county road, there was a mistake, the county can just pass a resolution that says, we're taking that road back and making it a county, and you can make it a county road again. But in the meantime, it's not a county road. So the problem question is, yes, we would have to get right-of-ways again. You'd have to talk to the property owners, because once you disclaim, you disclaim. I mean, so I don't want to sugarcoat it. So it can be fixed. It would just be a matter of time and effort.
Commissioner Hale.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a good thing, because there is a lot of what ifs, and I think the work that Ms. Brenda and her staff have done probably will, or has aided to answering those questions. So, yeah. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Mr. Fleming.
Can Ms. Brenda get each district, each commissioner to the roles, and she's nodding here, yes. I would like to get them.
Yep. Yeah. What I would propose to do it as two very phased things and not do it at the same time, which will allow for, so the first thing would be passing the resolution, just recognizing the roads, get a firm number on that, so that way it'll be resolution whatever it is, and then it'll probably be, because there's a certain notice requirement that has to go with it, about a month later, where the way that ordinance, the way that disclaimer statute or resolution would read, would basically, it's going to be referring to that the previous resolution. It says if it's not listed on there, we disclaim it. And so there'll be a gap in time where if it turns out there's a mistake, that'll be the time it can be fixed before we pass that, if that makes sense at all. And at any point in time, we can say, I want to get off the boat. So I just looking for some guidance. Are you guys okay with me kind of continuing to work on this? In the meantime, it's not a vote right now.
I am.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Hale, Commissioner Fleming, I think you're good to go.
Okay. I just wanted to run that by y'all. Thank you. That's all.
I would just like to review it, though, before it gets done.
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Any consultants? Any additional agenda items? None? Administrators' comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple things. Was going to mention the House and the Senate budgets, came out this week. Of course, got a long way to go, but we did have some projects on the list. Not all funded at the level that we requested, but save the fire station. They don't seem to cut those too much, but we do have $750,000 for a fire station in there, $2.5 million for the regional shelter, $475,000 for utilities at the Catalyst site. We did not have our livestock facility did not make the list this year, so we're out to bid on that project right now. We'll start phase one, and next year reapply and re-request, and the timing could be pretty close to maybe finishing up and then starting that if we get funding next year. So I was going to mention that. We do need to stay in front of our elected folks, representative and senator, on those projects throughout the session. We did open up a wastewater treatment plant rebid today. We had 3 bidders as opposed to the single we had previous time, and we've extended a couple times. So more competitive numbers. I think 13, 14, and $15 million is around what they each came in at. So we did save a little bit of money there from the first $17 million, I think was our first go around. So we'll be crunching the numbers and looking at that to see what that gap is. We said 4.5 to 5.5 earlier. It's probably closer to 3.5 to 4 now. So we'll take a look at that and bring that back to you. We will need to make a decision on that. I don't know how you build 3/4 of a wastewater treatment plant. So whether we take a low interest loan and go ahead and just fund the whole thing, we got to be able to sign a contract with this contractor. So we do have some deducts that we could take out. We talked about it before, whether it's the spray field or a screw press or things we don't need initially to operate that treatment plant with the number of customers that would be on it right now. Again, I think it's better to go ahead and have it built, and then when you never know when that project's going to come and need it. So, and then the whole water utility, how does that look when we transfer that asset to them? Do they take any kind of debt service since they're going to get the revenue? And so anyway, something we'll be bringing to you here pretty quick to start looking at and talking about. We did have a meeting with the Sheriff's Department the other day about the EM transfer. That date's coming up pretty quick, I think March 8th or 9th. And so we had a meeting about assets and inventory and how that would be transferred over to the county. And we hope to get the EM director. We met with our consultant earlier this week as well. And hope to get that director position posted, advertised here at the end of this week, so that we can start that process. And just lastly, we get budgets right around the corner. So we'll be working with finance and our department heads. Obviously, departmental budgets, but then we got to talk about insurance and we got to talk about solid waste, and so we'll be bringing that to you as well. Probably setting up some meetings if we need a workshop or not, but just something else to think about. That's all I had, unless you have any questions from me about anything specific, any other projects. We're moving along on all our projects, meet with contractors. I did talk to a roofing contractor today that's interested in the courthouse dome. We rebid that as well. So hopefully we'll get some more interest in that, but we're just plugging along.
Any questions for Mr. Fury?
No, sir.
No? All right. Well, since Mr. Fleming's back, we'll start on this end. You got any comments, Mr. Fleming?
I know you don't want to sit here another hour, but
well, we're gonna cut you off for 3 minutes.
Okay, turn the mic off. But anyway, there's a song that's called "Second Time Around is Better Than the First Time." So I guess I'll see and I find out. But anyway, I thank God for the appointment, for the governor looking at little old me, old country boy, and I'm very pleased with that, and the senators that reached out to me and the question that was asked, and I saw some names in the paper right after Commissioner Perkins passed, and one of those names happened to be Mr. Bo Hancock. Thank you so much, and to the rest, and to the people that reached out to me. I can't call every name, but I do know some names. I said economic director back there, Jimmy Norris, and he reached out. I appreciate that, and these commissioners. I have some good friends in here tonight. I had my kids and grandkids, but they had to go home and get an education, get an education better than I received, that they can do some great things, and got some friends in here, some family in here, a school board member, Mr. Crawford, Bishop White, and his wife Juanita. He's been in and out of Suwannee County for 50 years. thank you. Got two, Sadell and Mr. Bryant and Mr. Weaver. And I'm just calling names and looking at faces and calling names. But to everybody that's here, the library, Miss Betty, she's back there in the back, and all the department heads. I see the clerk of the courts out there. I'm bad about name calling, but Mr. Haneke and his wife, thank you for reaching out to me, and to all that reached out to me. Mandy, Miss Brenda, I see the fire chief, new fire chief. We got to get acquainted because every fire chief that I was with, we got close and very close. Our first responders are so important to this community and to this county that you can't do without them. I'll be your best friend. I'm saving this for last, and I want to say, but I thank God again for my being here again, and these faces that I see that are back to Commissioner Hale. I saw him at Commissioner Perkins' celebration. The chairman, he had his arm in a sling, but he was there. And Commissioner Mobley, the attorney, thank you. I really appreciate you guys for reaching out to me at the death of Commissioner Perkins, because Mr. Furry, he was very dear to me. I would say he was my little cousin. Amen. I'm saying amen. I'm not sorry for saying that, but I'm so used to saying this. But he was dear. You guys know what he meant to me. He was building our home, and 2 weeks before he passed, 2 or 3 weeks before he passed, he was sitting by the chimney. And he said some things that was, to me, that was kind of puzzling. But the puzzle is coming together. I understand. I shared it with my wife, and the puzzle is coming together. I want to use this person lastly. I really think he missed his calling, and that's Commissioner Land. I think you missed your calling, but you hadn't done it yet. If you haven't done it, it's on the way. Some things that you said at that celebration and scriptures, and I really appreciate everything that this board have done. I thank the community for accepting me once again. I just appreciate it. I'm kind of an emotional guy, and my wife looking at me telling me that I'm not in service. I know that's what you want to say, but I appreciate every one of you individuals that are here. My daughter left, my son left, and I know they got to get the kids ready for school in the morning and getting their homework done, because that's important. But James and Sadell, I thank y'all for staying, and Mr. Crawford and Bishop White, Sister Juanita, y'all are true friends. Love you all, love everybody in this building. And I really appreciate the chairman, and he gave me first bat. Now, I thought he was going to leave me last, but I hope I can hit a grand slam out of this. But thank you anyway.
Awesome.
Appreciate you.
Commissioner Hale? It's hard to follow that up. I was going to say, it's hard to follow that up. First of all, I'd like to say thank you, Ms. Fleming, for allowing him to step in and sit next to us once again. And it was an honor to have sat with you earlier as a commissioner and Commissioner Perkins, but it's a privilege to have you back as well, and what you bring to this board and what you do and how you represent this community. I really do. I appreciate that. And you and I go way back. Our family's been friends for a long, long time, and just a great family, and I'm honored to know them all. So, but thank you to our community for showing up tonight on such a big night. Again, I said it earlier, but I know I speak for the board when I say this. We thank each and every one of you for coming up and voicing your opinion and sharing your thoughts with us, because there's things we get caught in ruts too. You know, we can't think of all the right questions and the things to say and do, and that's where the public and your input comes from to help us out. So appreciate our staff, appreciate my board, and that's all really I got. That's it. Thanks, sir.
I'll start with the lighthearted stuff first. Kate Kirby, she's here, Representative Jason Scho's office, one of his aides here. So welcome, Kate. Good to see you out there.
You want to give us a speech?
She want to speak?
No, she don't like speeches. Hey, she lives in my district. I'll leave her alone.
Okay.
I want to thank Miss Hall, and I don't remember the first name. Haley, there she is. And I'll say this: it's obviously she's very passionate and way more intelligent on this particular topic than I am, probably with the studies that you've done. But it's refreshing for me to sit here and hear someone from the public speak about the other side, because let's be honest, a lot of times it's the government that has more horsepower and can hire the super intelligent people to push the government's agenda. So it's refreshing to me to see someone on the other side who is equally as intelligent to come up here and have the encouragement to come up here and stand and say what you say, even when you know it's in disagreement with the government. So I appreciate you for that. We heard a comment about agendas and letting people know, like, hey, we say this every meeting. Our agendas go out the week before these meetings happen. If you don't see the agenda or don't know where it's at, or some of this stuff comes out as a surprise to you, please call our local county administration office. There's an email chain. It's on our website. Like, there's multiple ways, and if you're not sure how to find those, just call the office. They can point you in the right direction so that you are informed every other Tuesday, first and third Tuesday, so that you have that, because, you know, an informed public is way more powerful than uninformed. Now, Commissioner Fleming, he about had me tearing up over here, looking down there, which was to my left, my old buddy Perk. That's what I called him, Perk. And I know what he meant to you, and you know what he meant to us. And I know without a doubt that my buddy Perkins is up top looking down, and he's proud that you're in that seat representing him, because I know how close you were to him and he was to you, and what you meant to him and he meant to you. So I know you'll do him right, and I know without a doubt he's proud that you're there, and that the governor and the Lord and all the stars aligned, and most importantly, your wife allowed you to sit there. So
Yes.
I know he's proud, and I know he's happy that it's you, and I am too.
Thank you.
Mr. Mullen?
I'd like to echo the other guys. We'd like to thank you if you're back. We welcome you. And thank you to staff, and thank you to all the citizens who come out tonight to express their concerns on things that are going on with the water. And they'll get worked out, I'm sure. Well, everybody have a good night.
Thank you. I won't belabor it. Welcome back, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Your first go around, I didn't pick on you a whole lot, but we give Commissioner Perkins a lot of trouble, I can tell you. So,
He gave it back.
I also hope you geared up for it. But just keep Jeremy Stevens in your thoughts and prayers, and his family. He was in my district, and he perished in a home fire and didn't make it. So just want to keep him in our thoughts and prayers, and his family. Ms. Hall, I didn't mean to cut you off earlier, but I didn't want to be rude, but if I let that keep going on and on and on, we'll be here all night. So I hope you understand. But I did enjoy what you had to say. I did, and that was very, very nice. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
We got it. Thank you. Other than that, I just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
So moved. Motion by Commissioner
Fleming.
Second by Commissioner Land. All in favor, aye. Aye. I told you I was going to do it.